Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. If you guys are new here, definitely hit that subscription button down below. I'd really appreciate the support. And if you enjoyed today's content, definitely give it a thumbs up. It just shows me you like the video. But getting right into it, just here in a sec, we're gonna hop into my computer and I'm gonna show you how to kind of spend your phone flipping profits. Obviously this is all opinion based. This is something that I do personally, and this is based off like my own experience in the phone flipping industry. And just I'm going to be giving this advice based on mistakes I made in the past, just so you guys can budget your money as best as possible, because obviously we're here to make money, but with that said, we want to turn that money into more money with because I mean that's the idea of it. So let's get right into it and hop into my computer. So as you guys can see, we are in my computer again, and again we're going to be talking about how you should basically spend your phone flipping profits. Obviously I'm not just the only guy, I'm not here to give you professional advice. I'm not an expert in how to invest your money or like what to do with it, but in my eyes these tips are based off personal experience and just being in the phone flipping industry and just trying to make more money off of it. Because the reason I made this video is to show you guys like what kind of paths there are with the money you have, because obviously we're here, we're making money, that's the goal of it. But with that said, we don't want that money just to sit in our account again. Yeah, it's great just to have money sit there, but as Grant Cardone always says, like money in their bank account isn't making you more money. That's why people always say to make money you need to have money, and to use that money, that's how we make the real wealth and stuff like that. So what the heck do we do with our phone flipping profits? I'm gonna get into that right now. So the first point that I have for you guys is probably the most obvious, but that's to reinvest to buy new phones. Because if you guys don't know, which you should, that this is pretty much a cash flow business. It's pretty much dictated on how much money we have and how much money we have access to at that specific time. Because even for me, I'm restricted on the amount of money I have at a time. I can't go ahead and take more than $1,000 a day out of my bank account. Yeah, I do some things to be able to mitigate that, where I have a couple thousand on me at all times. But I mean, it could still be restricted. I mean, somebody could come up to me with 10 iPhone XS Maxes, and I'm definitely not going to be able to buy that much, even though I would if I had the capital. There are restrictions in this business. So the best thing you can do with the profits that you gain, especially for people in the beginning, and beginning I mean within the first 6 months, which for a lot of you might sound like a lot of time, but if you're looking to do this full time, not full time even, but just necessarily just for a little while, because this isn't going anywhere. The phone flipping industry is great in that sense, and we're just here flipping items, whether it's Apple iPhones or even just Fitbits. I mean, we're here in the flipping kind of industry. So obviously we talk specifically about iPhones, but you just need to be reinvesting your capital. Yes, you can take percentages out of it here and there, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. That's the biggest mistake I made in the beginning, was just kind of taking all profits and just using them for whatever, and not putting them back into the business, because that's pretty much how any business becomes successful. Is you have to make that sacrifice in the beginning to put any profits you make, or most of those profits, back in the business, because your business needs to grow, and the only way it grows is with more capital in the back structure of it. So the second point is to invest in another business, and this is probably my biggest advice in today's video. These are 4 things that I have started tapping into or will be tapping into. So the first one would be e-commerce. If you guys don't know what that is, that's a great way I'd recommend you guys begin to invest your capital in. It's a great way. It's basically just taking products from China, importing them into your own store. You don't hold any inventory. Basically, when somebody buys from your store, you're just going to order from China. It's going to ship directly to them, so you're never holding inventory. And so all it really comes down to is your ability to market, and so that includes Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising. And so that's, if you guys don't know, which most of you probably do, that's something I actively do. I've had some success with it, and obviously I'm growing as a person with it and through that industry, but it takes money to send these advertising, and there's free ways to do advertising all the time, building a brand. But if you want to get success in e-commerce, you need to be spending your money, and that's one way you can use your phone flipping profits, is to invest in e-commerce. Second would be SMMA. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically creating a social media marketing agency. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it's something that's popping off in the entrepreneurial world. It's getting kind of saturated now, but there's definitely a lot of room to make a lot of money, and that's more getting a retainer every single month from helping businesses run their social media. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but if you guys want to learn about it, just type in SMMA how-to in the YouTube, and I guarantee you'll get 3,000 videos on it. The third would be personal brand. I'm not sure how much this will apply to, but for me, I'm making this video based off personal experience. Personal brand, that's me investing in things like this new camera equipment for my YouTube, investing in certain phone equipment for different chargers for different phones. Like, it could literally be anything to grow your brand for me. Like, also this camera would help with Instagram pictures because I'm trying to grow my brand on there. I mean, personal brand kind of goes everywhere, but I mean, that's pretty much it for that. And the fourth, and something I'm pretty much starting to actively work on, is real estate, because that is something I want as to be my long-term goal. I had a conversation with a gentleman. I ended up meeting at the Build Your Empire event. You guys know that video not too long ago. Sat down with him. We probably talked for about 2.5 hours, pretty much strictly about real estate. Learned a lot from it. He's probably going to become a mentor of mine. Even though he doesn't know that, I really respect the heck out of him, and he knows a lot about the real estate industry. And he just talked to me pretty much how much potential there is to create true wealth in real estate, and that's how these big moguls really do end up creating just passive income for the rest of their lives. Is things like real estate investing in multifamily homes, apartment complexes. And so that's pretty much where I'm going to be spending most of my money, or saving it in a sense, because you can't just necessarily invest in real estate. Yeah, there's different ways you can get credit lines, stuff like that, but you need to be able to save enough money to go ahead and buy property. So that's something I'm currently working on. That's a huge percentage of what I'm making anymore. It's going to save towards real estate. So that's something I'm excited to talk about in the channel in the future as I go through it, because it's definitely something you guys could also do with your phone flipping profits. So any 4 of those, I definitely recommend you guys try to tap into. If you guys aren't doing anything with your money right now, those are probably the 4 things I'd look to kind of start. Because to be honest, other than real estate, I'd say the first 2 are probably, you can get sales within the first week if you really wanted to. So going on to the third point is obviously just using as personal profit. And I put this as the last point because how you spend your phone flipping profits is, again, it's up to you, but I know a lot of you might need to use it to pay rent, or you're just in phone flipping to maybe get vacations for your family. And it really doesn't matter, and there's probably 1,000 different things you guys want to use with your profits, but that's what I consider personal profit. Pretty much anything that's not invested in your business or investing into other businesses. It's just personal profit, and that's fine. Some of you, that's going to be a high percentage of your phone flipping profits, and some of you, as I would recommend, that might not be the highest to begin with. So a lot of you might be asking, like, how do I manage these things, Kish? And like, it's great that I tell you these things, but I wanted to dig down into it a little bit farther, and basically, like, what the heck do I do to get to these different stages? So the first one I recommend is having a separate bank account for the phone flipping business. And this is something I made a mistake of in the beginning, and I wouldn't even consider it a mistake, but I didn't know I was going to do this for a long time, or to the point where I'm doing it as my full-time job. But any of you that are potentially pretty serious about this, or just have like a decent amount of money into phone flipping, I always recommend you create a separate bank account. Just have it as a checking account, and then you can always kind of keep, that's like honestly the real way you can see if your phone flipping business is increasing at what percentage. It doesn't really matter, but having that money separate just for phones and just for its profits is definitely a valuable part of the industry, is keeping that money separate, just so you're always tapping into that. You're not potentially tapping into any of your personal profits from other work that you guys do. It's always great. I like things as separate as possible, just so I can see things grow, and just kind of see at what rate they're growing. Because if it's just with my personal money, it's hard to track that. And if you have things like an official business with this, having an LLC, it's always good to have that money separate, because I mean, you want to file the taxes the right way, and it just makes things a lot easier. So the second point I have for you guys, and this is digging a little bit deeper into it, is to divide profits into percentages. So basically all I mean by that, and I'm going to walk you through it here in a sec, but for me, this is something I know a lot of you aren't doing, and it will help you tremendously. Just so you give yourself a set percentage of what goes where. So I think I broke it down into 2 separate sections. So first point I wanted to make was, I don't recommend pulling money out of your main principal unless needed. So with that said, like, that's basically like, let's say you have a budget for phone flipping, you go into it with $500. I recommend if you go in and $500, you're never taking out of that $500, because that's not going to grow your business, and that's not going to grow your capital. If you're continually taking out of that main principal that you put in and are growing, other than the profits, because the profits turn into principal, right? So you need to always kind of have a percentage taken out of that, or else that account is never going to grow. So I don't recommend ever taking out of the main principal. So if you have $1,000, or even if it's $20,000 put into this, keep that main principal in there. So, and you will have to make that kind of judgment call in the beginning. What money am I willing to put into this that I'm not going to see for a very long time, or even just a couple months, but I'm going to be using it to kind of make money. It's because the idea, again, of having money to make money. So I broke it down into 2 different sections. So as a beginner, this is kind of rough estimate of what I'd recommend. But again, if you're in the beginning stages of phone flipping, I recommend about 60% of those profits. So this has nothing to do with that main principal. So you spent $500 on a phone, you sold it for $700. It's not $700. You're taking out of the $200 as the percentages I'm talking about. So 60% of that, again, these are very rough estimates, might be going back into the business. 30% of that would be going into like whatever other businesses you might want to invest in. So again, I had the 4 options up there of e-commerce, SMMA, personal brand, or real estate. And then the other 10% would just be personal profit, having it for like food or gas or whatever it is that you want to just have as like a personal fun expense. That's what I recommend in the beginning. And obviously, as you go more to the advanced level, I mean, there's a big difference between the two, but you can kind of transition where you don't need to put as much into the main pocket of your phone flipping business. So maybe only 40%, and then another 40% would be going in your investments, and then 20% in your personal profits. In my recommendation, how I'm kind of running my business is, as time goes on, less money goes into necessarily this business, because at a point you don't need too much capital because you're only buying a couple phones a day, and I'm only buying a couple a day, to be honest. So for me, I'm using this money to make money, and that's the point of why I do this full time. So the one actual section that's going to keep going up is my investment. So instead of 40% investment, right now it's kind of at like a 60% investment. So a lot of the money right now that I'm investing or taking out of my profits, I'm not going to see for a very long time, because I told you that's going to be real estate. But that's just a personal decision. Yes, I take personal profit just because I like to have fun. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, you got to enjoy yourself a little bit, but at the same time, also cracking down on what I do every single day, like my food habits. You guys know I like to spend money on food, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. So as you can tell, like, this whole thing is kind of based around how you want to run your business. This is just my recommendation, but if you guys don't really have a path, I'd at least try to follow this one, if anything, and then kind of develop your own kind of path as you go through your phone flipping journey. But I included a point below. I want to know what you guys are doing with your phone flipping profit. So if you made it to this far in the video, I appreciate you so much. Just comment down below what you're currently doing with it. You don't have, even if it's nothing to do with what I'm doing, let me know. I'm kind of curious. What the heck are you doing with your profits? Are you spending it? Are you saving it? What are you saving it for? Like, what? Anybody have success stories with what money they made from phone flipping in another industry? I'd love to hear it. So again, if you like the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you guys aren't part of the family, hit that subscription button down below. I'd appreciate the support so much. And with that said, I'll catch you tomorrow in the next video.